I'm Thelma Grobler, Senior Manager Supply Chain Operations Support for Base Chemicals within Sasol. Today I would like to talk about Supply Chain Operations Support, or also better known as Supply Chain Enablement within the Supply Chain Management function. Supply Chain Operations Support is a very important function within supply chain. It enables the seamless and optimal execution of supply chain within a company. Some of the important activities that Supply Chain Operations Support executes within the supply chain is reporting and business intelligence, project execution, training and development, governance, strategy execution, and optimization. First of all, let's start off with reporting and business intelligence. Each and every supply chain within a company needs to have certain information on the supply chain activities, the markets beyond the borders of the company, and also the internal execution of the supply chain. It is the role of the Supply Chain Enablement or Operation Support function to analyze information and interpret data, to provide this to senior managers to make seamless decision making and decide on continuous improvement and optimization opportunities within the supply chain. Project execution is also one of the very important functions or activities within Supply Chain Operations Support. A lot of times opportunities are identified with regards to the information that has been gathered and interpreted, and it is the role of the Supply Chain Operations Support specialist to ensure that proper project execution within the timelines of the project and the budgets of a project is executed to ultimately ensure that we have a supply chain that executes optimally. Budgeting is one of the very important processes within supply chain. As we all know, that the purpose of any business is ultimately to make a profit. And so understanding the cost of your business and understanding the cost of the supply chain is very important, and to operate within the boundaries of that budget is very important. It is the role of operations support to ensure that we understand the cost to serve, what it costs for us to import or to source our products, and also to distribute and store our products. So that is one of the very important roles within operation support. Another very important activity which Supply Chain Operations Support executes is governance. Governance is basically the backbone within the supply chain and within the business. As you know, that for us as Sasol, we operate within we are listed on the New York Stock Exchange as well as on the JSE, and it is very important that we display corporate governance within our business, but not only display, actually to live corporate governance. And what that means is that we need to ensure that we have proper controls, financial controls and operational controls to ensure that we execute our activities in a responsible manner. It is very important to understand the risk within the business, and hence the execution and the formulation of controls within the business to ensure that, as I mentioned, we execute supply chain in a responsible manner. Training, as I mentioned before, is also one of the very important elements within the supply chain. Yes, business processes and systems are very important information or process streams that allows us to execute our activities, but without human capital, without individuals that are high performers, that have passion for their activities and work, without individuals that are knowledgeable about the environments and the business processes that they execute within the supply chain, the business will not operate at a success. So a lot of time and effort is actually spent within the operation support environment is to ensure that we have individuals that are properly trained, either internally or externally. And we also invest quite a lot of time and effort and money in developing individuals, not only to execute within the function, but also to execute beyond the immediate environments. I often say that supply chain enablement individuals and supply chain individuals actually have such a great understanding of the business and that sometimes we underestimate the role and the value add that a supply chain professional and supply chain individuals can play within the business. Supply chain individuals needs to know of every part of the business, how to source material, where does that material come from, what is the cost to source that material, understanding the needs of the business, understand the planning around production, understanding who the customers will be that will ultimately receive the finished goods. So there's a lot of development and training and knowledge sharing that needs to occur within supply chain. Strategy execution is also a very, very important element within the supply chain operation support environment. Naturally, the strategy is developed and guided by the ultimate strategy of your company, and to ensure that we ultimately execute on the greater strategy of the company, it is important to break that strategy down in more a practical strategy for the supply chain that ultimately also meets the ultimate goal of supply chain, to ensure that we execute at the lowest cost of the greatest quality and the greater value on time to our customers internally and externally. So the role of supply chain operation support is to ensure that we break down that strategy in more understandable steps to ensure that we implement at various levels of the organization. Optimization, sometimes it is a activity that we don't have a lot of time for, especially if the ultimate goal of supply chain is to ensure that we get the right product at the right time of the right quality to our customers. But it is very important to spend time and effort and money on optimization within the supply chain to ensure that we optimally execute. Hence, it is very important to set certain goals within the organization to ensure that we always strive to implement the best technologies, either if that is system or infrastructure or assets that we need to run our supply chain, and to ensure that we are current with times. Audio Jungle.